Good morning. So here I am this morning, up close and large. I hope that's not too scary. uh, Walk well. As you can see, I'm all dressed up in all the gear, and I got my bag handy. The plan was this morning was to film to you outside, because I do have a road mic, and it's possible to do that. However, just as like technology drives you crackers, it now is saying I've got absolutely no SIM card or data, so I've got to ring the phone company. So while you're waiting to join me, I think have we got Ruthie there? Let's just say hello. So this morning's walk well. Let me just. So I was just wondering what to use as a focus this morning. So this morning's focus is going to be on your breathing and your heart rate when you're out walking. So basically, when you're out walking, the best way and the way that I teach in classes is to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And that may seem really obvious. However, it's amazing how many people, I do have to, keep reminding you will forget and end up being mouth breathers. Now, breathing through your mouth is not actually natural. It's only meant for emergencies. So when you need extra, if you're sort of like fight or flight, or if you're running, need extra oxygen in, mouth breathing is not the natural way of breathing. When you breathe in, most people also know that breathing in through your nose warms the air, it filters the air. So they're the obvious, and so obviously it's the best way to breathe, particularly now. It's a much safer. I mean, just a little bit of a tip, um, which can be done all the time, but is particularly important right now if you're just sort of like wanting to be wary of sort of like viruses and things around, but it should be done all the time. So these things that we're putting in place are things that should be in place, is to line the inside of your nose with either a good oil. Sesame oil, but not the one that we cook with, is the one that's recommended in Ayurvedic medicine. But you can use other oils. Or I use frankincense oil as well. And there are sometimes, but do check before you start doing that with essential oils, because there's many essential oils you should not use neat on your skin. You could add a small drop of essential oil straight to your base oil, which again will be your sesame oil, which is a really good oil to use, or your olive oil, whatever you want to use, and then line the inside of your nose with it. So, nose breathing. What nose breathing does is, as well as filtering and warming the air, it sends the air in a spiral, in a spiral down, which is a very little known um, fact that happens. The air spirals down like a helter skelter, and your as it splits down into your lungs, if you think of it, it divides about 21 times as it goes into your alveoli. I think that's a really nice fact to imagine, that sort of like as you breathe in, they actually split 21 times. So imagine yourself going down and as that breath in, but it's that spiraling motion of your in breath that creates the most efficient path of movement. And really, whereas if you're gasping through your mouth, you can see it's all upper chest breathing. Now, upper chest breathing will kick in your, does it's like I said, it's meant to be for emergencies. So you end up in this cycle loop of breathing in through your mouth, upper chest breathing. Your body sort of like autonomic nervous system is responding, thinking there's an emergency going on. So you go into sympathetic nervous system, and then the loop continues with what happens in that stress response in your body, and then you continue to breathe through your mouth, and your body then, and that can cause anxiety in itself, is prolonged mouth breathing. So breathing through your nose, what also happens, and again is little known, is that if you breathe through your nose, it keeps your heart rate down. So I know that it's really important to have, we have a variable heart rate. So it's really important that we don't consistently keep our heart rate at one rate, that we do have that full range and capability of a variable heart rate. However, it is useful if you're doing sort of, particularly if you've got high blood pressure, but if you're out walking and you're walking up hills, particularly if you're keeping your blood pressure and things down, it's really useful to breathe through your nose, and it'll keep your heart rate down. Now, um, how to practice this is that the minute you feel that you're needing to gasp through and take a breath through your mouth, is slow your pace right down, or even stop until you can continue to sustain your nose breathing. Now, many years ago, a couple of decades or maybe a little bit longer, I remember reading that there were leading athletes that were retraining their whole sports training program so that they would be maintaining their nose breathing all the way through whatever exercise they were doing, whether that was tennis players, there were a lot of the time. You get a lot of marathon runners and ultra marathon runners that were practicing this technique. And where it came from was somewhere in South America, and I can't remember the name of the indigenous tribe that it was now. Um, but they out there, so from one tribe to another, they had messengers, and these messenger runners would be traveling, would be running like ultra marathons, so 2, 3 marathons to go from one tribe to the to pass on the information. And also, what was surprising, a lot of these like runners, the average age of them was about 50. Which is incredible. Some of them were a lot older, and they were able to run these ultra marathons. And what they started to do was track their heart rates. And as they were tracking their heart rates, they could not believe at the low level that their heart rates were at for these long distances. And what they found is that was consistent is they were all breathing through their nose. Good morning, Judith. So they were all breathing through the nose. So it is a really good one to practice when you're out walking, walk well, is to be really mindful. I mean, it's important all the rest of the time in your life, but just be mindful. It's a really good time when you're out exercising in any class, but when you're out walking, is to breathe through your nose. Now, the advantage of that is then when you're outside in our beautiful scenery that we have in Rosendale or wherever you happen to be out walking, is that you then bring the focus to what is it that you can smell. So many of you hear about me talking about when you breathe in, remember a favorite fragrance, smell, or perfume. Well, hopefully, when you're outside, just fine tune. We talk a lot about fine tuning your sensory feedback. So, sense of smell is another one. Fine tune your sense of smell and just take notice all the time. I mean, if you've got asthma, anxiety problems, panic attacks, all these techniques will really, really help. Is just continued awareness on breathing in through your nose with a sense of smell. And if you imagine that sense, if you're out and about, often those smells aren't always that strong. They are very light smells, sort of delicate fragrances. You do have to fine tune those senses. So if you breathe in with that sense of just how can you receive more information? What is it you're smelling around you? Does snow have a smell? Different sort of smells depending on what the weather is. Maybe some different trees have smells as you walk past them. So it's not just in spring, sort of in summer where there's an abundance of fragrances that goes around. All the time, notice the smell, and it really will change the quality of your breathing and help to keep your heart rate down, which is really, really important skill. And as I said at the beginning, if you've just tuned in, it is important to have heart rate variability. Yes, that is a really important part of our heart, that we don't aim to just keep it at we don't exercise just to keep it at a consistent pace. And as it's well known now that we don't just go up and down, but it is that ability to bring it right up, right down. But there is a benefit in learning how to sustain when you're exercising, to keep your heart rate down, and particularly if you've got high blood pressure, and so to breathe through your nose with a sense of fine tune your sensory feedback. And also, what that does is that brings you into the present moment. So, be fine tuning your sense of smell, and like we were talking about in terms of an artist fine tunes their sensory feedback in lots of ways. What we're doing is fine tuning your sensory feedback of your sense of smell. So if you're heading out for a walk today, which I was, so if you've just tuned in, I had all my gear on. I was ready with my rucksack. I've got the mic ready to plug it into the phone, and my service providers and the phone's gone all things, and they've said that I've got no SIM card. So I'm actually sat here ready to head off out there because it looks like a lovely, fine, clear day. So head yourself out there if you've got time today and take yourself off for a walk and fine tune your sense of smell. with the awareness that it's going to keep your heart rate down. And particularly when you're going up hills and it's really exertive, the minute you feel the need to breathe through your nose, slow down until you can regain nose breathing. If that means stopping, stop. It's really important. It's an extra benefit if you've got anything like asthma, anxiety, any of those sorts of problems going on. But for anybody, it's really good practice. So have a lovely day. Go out there and sense the smells around you. Again, noticing different seasons, different weathers. They can all have that sense of smell. So go and fine tune your sense of smell. Walk well and enjoy your day. And I shall see you soon. Goodbye.